I have to be honest, friends. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to say about the year we're leaving behind. I don't know what to say about where we are now, with rockets flying in multiple directions, slogans screaming across Instagram, countless lives lost and relationships shattered since the 7th. I don't know what to say about where we're going in this new year when there's no resolution in sight. We eat apples dipped in honey, illustrating our hopes for a sweet new year. But it can be really hard to think or talk about sweetness when we're tasting bitterness at the same time. The beauty of Jewish holidays is that they're both commemorative and experiential. We are asked to remember something that happened in the past, and we experience it in real time. At Passover, we're told that we ourselves are coming out of slavery. Rosh Hashanah is a time when we both remember and experience renewal, rebirth, and creation. When God began creating the world 5,785 days ago in Jewish time, the earth was tohu vabohu, chaos and void. And hoshech, darkness, was on the face of the deep. And Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, mirachefet, hovered on the face of the water. What was God feeling in that moment, hovering over the darkness? Was God afraid of the void? Anxious amid the chaos? What did it take for God to find the courage to say, Yehi or, let there be light? We too have known darkness this year. We have also faced the depths. And right now, we too are hovering, merachepet, between darkness and whatever comes next. What is it like living in this hovering uncertainty? What will it take for us to risk looking forward at all, let alone looking forward with something like hope? I don't know. But I do know we have examples in our tradition of other moments like this one, and we can learn from our ancestors. Our ancestors shared an experience of darkness, chaos, and confusion at Mount Sinai, waiting for Moses to bring Torah down from the mountaintop. When Moses ascended Mount Sinai, the Israelites didn't know when he would return, and they were terrified. In their fear and anxiety, hovering beneath the mountain, they turned to a destructive but familiar coping mechanism, like so many of us have in those uncertain moments. They built a golden calf, a false idol. How many of us turned to unhealthy habits this year in moments of anxiety? How many of you are lying by not holding up your hands right now? Yeah, we've all been there, we get it. Moses came down from the mountain with the commandment on 2 luchot, 2 stone tablets. And when he saw the golden calf, he was so furious that he shattered them. Moses climbed the mountain again, and even though he was angry with the Israelites, he pleaded with God on their behalf, and God forgave them on the 10th of Tishrei, a day that we now experience and commemorate as Yom Kippur. Then Moses descended with the new luchot, the new tablets. A midrash, which is
Torah fiction.
Thank you. On this Torah portion tells us how our tradition treats the brokenness we experience in times of darkness and hovering. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai the second time with new tablets, the Israelites kept the broken ones. They kept the broken ones. They placed those broken luchot along with the new ones in the Holy Ark. Why keep the symbol of our own fear, this casualty of rage, this set of broken laws? Because brokenness and wholeness live side by side in the world and in our hearts. Because we had to be in the wilderness, hovering, waiting, lost and afraid, worshiping a false god before we could worship our one God from a place of trust. We kept the broken tablets because learning is part of becoming. We kept them alongside the new ones because brokenness itself is holy. The broken tablets carried along with the whole ones in the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, represent the resilience that carried us through the rest of the uncertain wilderness. Rabbi Harold Kushner of blessed memory raised an important point about this story. The saga of the golden calf, God's anger at the people, Moses' intervention, and God's forgiveness raise an interesting question. When something breaks, something that was precious to us, is it ever possible to put it together again so it's as good as new? So much shattering occurred over the last year. Trust was broken, relationships ruptured, communities crumbled. October 7th went to us again and again. How can we repair? Is it even possible to build ourselves up again so that we and our communities are as good as new? Rabbi Kushner continued, "It would be nice to believe that a God of second chances would make that possible, but the reality seems to be, no, you can't. If it's broken and repaired, it will never be the same. The crack will always show. But what a God of second chances does is make it possible that you will end up with something in its place that will be even stronger and better than the original. What would it look like for us to build something better? And what can our textual tradition offer for guidance? After God hovered in darkness over the face of the water, God said, Yehi or, let there be light, and went about the work of creating the world for us. When we finished hovering in the darkness at the foot of the mountain with the golden calf, we went about the work of creating a Mishkan for God, an elaborate and collaborative traveling sanctuary. Each person contributed something of their own to the creation of the Mishkan. The sages consider the golden calf incident to be one of the darkest moments of our history as a people. Despairing, leaderless, chaotic. Our ancestors came through that darkness and said, Yehi or, let there be light. And they created a Mishkan. The truth is that there is always darkness and brokenness and loss, and we can always say Yehi or while we hover with the tohu vavohu, within the chaos. Kohelet says, to everything there is a season, a time for joy and a time to weep. In his poem, Kohelet Wasn't Right, Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai responds that no, these are not separate times. In the days when each hour collides with the next, he says, we have no choice but to cry and laugh with the same eyes, to mourn and dance at the same time. We have to carry the broken tablets with the whole ones. We have to create light while the darkness swirls around us. When false idols have made us forget that we are one, we have to build a Mishkan together. Does it sound impossible? That's okay. It won't happen perfectly or all at once. Creation didn't happen just one time. Creation is always unfolding all around and within us. 40 days and nights passed before Moses came back down the mountain with the new tablets. It took time for the Israelites to return to the Mishkan. Healing is a long and by no means linear process. We may continue hovering, merachefet, over the depths for a while. In the meantime, we have ancestral tools handed down in our hearts and in our liturgy that can help us make incremental change. One of these tools is slichot, forgiveness. Rabbi Kushner wrote that the crack in the first set of tablets was the loss of the dream of perfection. I'm going to say that again. The crack in the first set of tablets was the loss of the dream of perfection. Now the challenge facing you is, can you replace that dream of perfection with a more realistic one that will make allowance for human frailty? Can you give yourself and those around you permission to be human? On Yom Kippur so many years ago, God forgave the people who built the golden calf. He forgave us for being human with the hope that we would learn to forgive each other as well. Can you forgive yourself for the moments when the darkness was unbearable? The moments when the shattered pieces of your heart cut so deeply you couldn't see the whole ones beside you? The moments when hovering was the only option because you couldn't find light amid the chaos? Can you forgive your community for the moments when we failed to hold you in the way you needed to be held? Can you forgive God for God's imperfect world? 18th century Ukrainian rabbi, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, taught that Moses was able to find the nekuda tova, the good point, that divine spark, in the Israelites when he pleaded with God on their behalf on top of the mountain. Nachman teaches that this is what allowed the Israelites to move from building the golden calf to building the Mishkan. All it took was one person seeing the good inside of them. Forgiveness is another way to say Yehi Or, let there be light. 5784 had darkness, chaos, confusion, and grief. We have been at the foot of the mountain with the golden calf. At this exact moment when we remember and experience the story of creation, we are Merachephet, hovering on the face of the depths. How can we say Yehi Or like God when God created from darkness? How can we say Yehi Or like our ancestors who contributed to the Mishkan after contributing to the golden calf? How can we build new tablets while we hold on to the broken ones? We've looked at an ancestral tool, but we can and should draw on personal experience as well. So take a deep breath with me. And think back on some of your own personal dark moments from this last year. What qualities did you already have inside you? What roots did you return to? What did you discover that was grounding, replenishing, and brought you a little more light? What did you try? What was helpful? Call it out. Friends. Pets.
Music.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Going outside.
Going outside. Community. Childhood books.
Calling my mom.
Yeah, definitely.
All the animals that I see outside.
All the animals.
Hugs.
Definitely.
Tears.
Tears. We all have what we need. We can do this. Thank you for sharing those beautiful Yehi Or moments. Looking back on our year at Hillel, I can also see examples of times when we said, let there be light as a community, not in spite of or even because of the chaos, but because it's what we do. It's part of who we are. Yes, there was rupture within our community. And over 25 bagel brunches we shared on Sunday mornings, we ate 1,250 bagels in total. There's an ongoing hostage crisis and war in the Middle East. There was anger, distrust, and anti-Semitism on campus. There was also Matzo Ball, a festive Hollywood-themed semi-formal at Joe's at the beginning of spring semester. We were anxious and uncertain, but we also celebrated Purim with 300 of our besties at the 7th annual Purim drag show. Woo! Right? The news cycle was relentless and depressing, and we played so much Dungeons and Dragons. We said Yehi Or when we piloted a wellness-themed Jewish learning fellowship where students shared from their hearts and deepened their relationships. We said Yehi Or when we welcomed the angels and each other by singing Shalom Aleichem together before each Shabbat meal. With the darkness, light. With the brokenness, creation. With the hovering, a mishkan, a gathering space for sacred community. Contemporary scholar of Kabbalah, Dr. Malila Helner Ashdad writes that an envelope of bitterness encases the divine sweetness, yet we can reach the sweet divine essence hidden within the layers of the world's bitterness. So, we will dip our apples and our challah in honey for a sweet new year. We will practice forgiving ourselves and each other for our imperfections. We will rebuild relationships and repair our community. It won't be the same as before, but I believe it will be stronger. We will honor our brokenness and our wholeness. We will turn away from false idols, and we will work together to create a better world. We will say Yehi Or. Say it with me. Yehi Or. Let there be light.